sense of scale than our budget would necessarily communicate. And so to that end, we wrote a road movie where most of the scenes took place in a car. So we knew, like, if all else failed and we ran out of money, we just needed our actresses and my car, and we just needed to drive around my neighborhood and shoot some stuff, which is what we did at a certain point. But we also knew we had... is this better?
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
What we also did was we knew we had access to my producer's family's cabins in Wisconsin around this beautiful lake that we were going to be able to shoot for free, but only for a few days. And so we wrote the story to culminate in that location. We knew that was the biggest, most kind of grandiose location we had, so we knew that had to be the location the climax played out in, because that's what the film would visually build to. So it was we completely wrote the thing around location, and I think that's how I'd get more specific to that answer.
I also would say that, but I would say also staying true to your artistic vision. I think figuring out kind of what that kernel is, because you're going to be compromising all the way along, I think, during the movie, and things will change, and the thing that you write will definitely not be the thing that you make, especially with your resources, but figuring out what that kernel is and just making sure and holding on to that all the way through, maybe checking in, making sure that whatever the artistic and your story is there. Again, it could change, it could mold, but the kernel of that is still intact, because I think, especially with independent film, that's what you have is your voice. So that's what my advice would be.
Keep it close.
I'd say that write what you know, write what you're familiar with, what you're in touch with, at least for your first time. If you intend on making that film yourself as a director or collaborating with somebody, keep it in your wheelhouse of something. You know, I wouldn't write a medical drama unless you have some deep medical resources or things like that, because you will have to tap into all of your resources, and they're difficult, and yes, agreed locations, and yes, agreed all of the things that were mentioned before. But, you know, funny coming from me, the producer, because I would say, here's all the things you don't do, money, 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 money. But most of the films that I've worked on have been, all the directors have written from a personal story somehow. And I just feel like you are compromising along the way. So write something you're really comfortable with, you know, if it's a teenage girl drama or something, and you're a 46-year-old guy and haven't been around teenagers, that might be a struggle for you, for the actors. So keep it close to you, I think.
My number one rule for you guys is rewrite. You have a script that what usually happens with independent film is a filmmaker writes a first draft, and the first draft gets a lot of great feedback. And there's a lot that's wonderful about the first draft, and then they sort of hang on to that throughout the process, even when they come up to problems or the obstacles. And the thing about independent filmmaking is that the filmmaking itself is expensive, but paper is cheap. So you write that first draft, then you hand it to 6 friends, and you get notes from them, and then you write another draft. And you write another draft, and you get your actors together, and you have a reading, and you get feedback from them. And you think of your screenplay not as a play that is finished and then you shoot. You think of it as this protean document that is constantly changing throughout the process. That you're, every time you come up to an obstacle, whether that be creative or whether that be practical, you can always go back to the script and find a way to stay true to your vision, your story, and what you're most passionate about, but make it easier on yourself. You have to really understand what the core of your story and the core point of the movie is, so that all the details throughout the script, the individual scenes, the dialogue, the sequence structures can change. And the place to change those is on the page. I think we've all had the experience of going to festivals or going to screenings where some dear friend of ours has made a film, and you watch it and you think, oh my God, why didn't they just change that one thing? Well, don't put yourself in that position. To the best of your ability, give your script to people who you admire and trust and see what they say. And it's going to get exhausting because you want that script writing process to be over, but it's never going to be over until the film actually shoots. So rewrite, and then rewrite some more.
And I'll just add, if you think people are being hard on your script when you give it to them, you can't imagine what they'll be like when you actually make the film and it gets reviewed. And so deal with those stuff at the script stage, deal with those issues at the script stage, so that you can make an amazing film. I'm going to ask the two to my right.